Once we have got our feet folded out, we're going to be able to glue this onto our white piece of paper. You're going to want to make sure you write your name on the back of the paper here before we move on. So get your name on there. We'll put that onto the back. And then this is going to get glued down to our white paper. Now again, we're going to use our finger. Let's space it out so we get about a finger space from the edge here. We don't want to get it too close, because if you get it too close, it's just going to fall over. So we want to make sure we're spreading it out about a finger space away from our edge of our paper here. So to glue it, just kind of grab the ends here, rub some glue on the feet here, grab the bottom here, rub your glue on here, press it down, and hold it down right in those spots here that you want them to stand. So when you're all finished, it's going to have kind of a, it looks like a tent. So it kind of goes up, kind of like a tent. And you should be able to pick up the whole thing from that black piece of paper. Should be on pretty strong since we got 4 pieces glued on. So it kind of looks like this kind of tent shape. So once that's glued on, we're going to set that off to the side. We need our other black piece of paper, and we're going to need a ruler for our next step. So with our ruler, we are going to take the bottom of the ruler and set it at the bottom of the paper, just like we did with our weaving that we just got done with, making our loom. So set up the bottom so it matches up with the bottom of the paper. Hold on to the ruler, make a line across, and you're going to see that that's about the exact same size as my ruler. So if you've got that line nice and straight like our ruler line, then we're going to cut that line, and we're going to have a nice tall rectangle here. Just like that. So the rectangle is going to be our tail. So to make it into a tail, we're going to want it to be a little pointier on the ends so it can go into our cat body. So to make it into a point on both ends, I'm going to start at the top of the rectangle, and I'm just going to make a line that goes kind of diagonal down to this side. Same thing on the other side. It kind of looks like it goes up to a point. And then we're just going to cut those. And now we got this nice little point here. And what we can do is we'll flip it over here and we will just do the same thing on the other side. So we'll make a little point, point, starts in the middle, kind of comes out. And I'm just going to cut that. And we got this nice kind of double-sided pencil, it looks like. It's pointed on both ends. So this will help us kind of get it into the cat body and also kind of have that nice pointed tail at the end as well. So when we want to put this into our actual body to assemble it, we have to kind of push the body down a little bit so it gets a little more curvy like this. So when I'm trying to put it in, it's hard to just stick it in there. So we kind of flatten it out, then it's easier to get this into that cut. And you can just kind of slide it in there. So when I pull it through, you can see that the body's a little more rounded now. And it's not going super pointed like a tent anymore. It's a little more rounded. So that's kind of what we want to do to make it so that stays in there. Because if it's more pointy and you stick this in there, when it's really pointy, most of the time it's going to just fall right out. You want to make sure you push this in far enough and that this is bent in so it has a nice little curve to it. And we can set that off to the side and finish making our head. So with our remaining piece of black paper here, let's have it go up and down the tall way. We're going to grab the very top and we're going to fold it down to the bottom. I'm doing that a lot today. So we are going to make about a half of a circle, I would say, or half of an oval shape. And this time it is connected to the fold. So on the folded line, And then make a nice big smiley face. From one side of the fold all the way to the other. It's got to be on the folded side. And then we're going to cut that shape out as well. So as I do this, I'm keeping my paper folded so it does the same thing on both sides. And you put your scraps to the side here. We'll open this shape up when we're ready, and you're going to see you have a nice fold line in the middle. Again, this is a symmetrical shape, so when I open and close it, it is the same, so it has symmetry. So what we will do next on our head is we are going to make our ears. So this will be a little different, but I'm going to show you a cool little trick. So going to that fold line, we're going to use our 2 fingers again. Right at the edge, I'm going to make a little mark so I know where my 2 fingers go, right there. I'll do the same thing on the right side. So these are going to be our little marks that we're going to be making a diagonal line from. So on this left dot, I want you to go to the left side, just a little diagonal line going down and to the left. I'm going to do the same thing on the right side. I'm going to go down and to the right. Those lines that we just made are now going to be cut. So I'm going to snip, snip, and when I turn it around and when I close it, I've got my nice little cat ears kind of popping out there. They stayed open. And that is our cat head. The last step we'll do is kind of adding our details to our cat face. So if you are wanting to add in our eyes, our nose, our mouth, whiskers, all those details, we can do this last step here. So our eyes will be done on this yellow paper. So we'll get a piece of yellow paper, and I'm going to have it go up and down the tall way. I'm going to fold the top down to the bottom. So again, folding it in half. This is going to make it so when I draw one big eye on here, it's going to cut out 2, and they'll be the same size and shape. So when you draw it, it is important. I would draw it really big because you can always go back and make it smaller, but you can't really go around the other way. So if I make it too big, I can always cut it down and make it smaller. But if I make it too small, I can't go the other way. I can't make it magically get bigger. So now, we've got our 2 yellow eyes. These are going to be the exact same size. And then we can glue those into place onto your cat head. And then we can add our details with our pencil. I've got one started already. So I just added in some kind of pupils in the eyes. But if you wanted to throw in kind of like a little nose, a little mouth, maybe even some whiskers, you could draw the whiskers. Or if you have time, you can actually use your scraps and you can cut your whiskers out. So you could actually cut these big whiskers and glue them on if you want big whiskers on your cat face. So once we have got all of that finished, our tail is already in, our head is going to go in the same way, where we can just take our body and just kind of push it down a little bit so it's a little flatter. And this is going to make it so it will stay into the body with that curved shape. Again, if it's not staying in because it's too pointed, then it might fall out. We might need to curve this out a little bit more, or you might need to make your cut a little bit longer. If it's just barely hanging in like this, you might need to make your cut go down a little bit further, but it should stay in pretty stable, and you can kind of wiggle it around as well. And that is your dancing cat, your scaredy cat here.